KaBlam!
Can we please? Mate, we've got to find out about
Oh, so I was going to start it.
Mate, we've got to find out about the time that actually runs for, remember?
I thought I'd make an intro.
I think that's terrible.
Okay, fine. Hello, and welcome back to Look Who's Talking, Full Fat Video's #1 Doctor Who discussion show. Chris, we saw KaBlam, didn't we?
Yes, I actually quite enjoyed KaBlam.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, in terms of like ranking it like straight off the bat, I would say it's in definitely the upper half of this season. I thought it was...
Which isn't saying that much.
No, but I enjoyed it. I had a fun time watching it. There were really good sequences. I thought all of the supporting characters were well utilised. The acting was a lot better this week. Just across the board, it seemed like a lot more time and effort had been put into making this episode fun. It
was a lot better than some of the episodes we've had. But my problem with it is it feels like the standard of an episode that in an earlier series would have been episode 3 rather than the tail end of the series. Like, this is where we should be getting the Blinks, you know, the Midnights, whereas instead we got something on par with Smile, that kind of thing, where it's like low-rent sci-fi, to me anyway.
I don't know, I thought it was good fun. This is the first time in a few weeks that I felt that if you're a kid watching this, that you'd be like, that was really fun, I really enjoyed that.
That's a good point.
There were some really good sequences, particularly like the action set pieces with Ryan going down the like chute and things like that. I can imagine if you were a kid watching this, you would have had a good time. Like, this was entertaining.
Although again, I felt like the sets left a bit to be desired. It was a lot of like office space this week, and you know, I don't know. Like, I feel like you were saying to me as we were watching episodes, you feel like the cameras have gotten better and the look of it has gotten better, but the actual sets have gone down
it's
a
almost
bit.
like they've spent a lot of money on a particular type of camera to make it look shiny, but they're not really doing anything with it.
Yeah.
But again, this was like one of those concepts that was a bit low. It's just, it's Amazon in space, they get a package. But for what the concept was, I thought it was well executed.
Yes, it could have been really bad, and it was surprisingly okay, which is the most we can hope for at this point in the series.
And this is a compliment in a way. This was one of the few ones where Graham didn't stick out like a sore thumb. That was like the best thing in it. Like, he had a few good moments. He was probably, you know, on par with everyone else in the episode in terms of everyone else was better utilised.
Yeah.
It's first like time in a bit that Ryan's been used well. Like, in a to the UK, it's probably his best role on the show. I really get a sense of who he is now. Like, he's quite fun.
I feel like all the companions are at least likeable. It's just that there's no arc with any of them, really. Like, where is Yaz going?
I mean, at the moment, it seems like they're pushing her, and Ryan kind of weren't they? But they've not.
I feel like they've half-arsed that so much. There's been a few little hints here and there, but not really. I'd be surprised if they went the distance now.
No, I'm a bit.
I want to see Bradley Walsh and the Doctor get together.
I mean, I'll be down for that. I mean, ideal if anything, because then Ryan would have to call her grandma.
And it would loop back round to an unearthly child. Brilliant.
So yeah, that's how we get it. Ryan is Susan, confirmed, canon. Point being, I also thought this had an actual Doctor moment in it.
Yes. It was nice to see the Doctor finally being the Doctor, if only for a little while.
And stand up to Hayley from Coronation Street, briefly.
She did get a doctory moment, didn't she? She was actually saying, this cannot go on.
Yeah,
if I find out. And the camera focused on her. There was a nice close-up when she was bearing down on them, which we've not had. But again, it's episode 7 out of 10. We should have had that episode 4, shouldn't
definitely. The ending felt a bit rushed as well.
Yes.
So a couple of things that I kind of picked up with the ending that I found weird. What's the moral?
Yeah, I thought the message was a bit mixed, wasn't it?
So it's sort of like, she was like, it's never the system that's wrong, it's the people in it. And like, this whole series has been like a bit like, you know, we're going to do this political message, but what does that mean? Is that like, And
as you say, I can't remember the guy's name. Although that supporting character and the girl that got killed, Annalee Mack, have been the best supporting characters all series. But like, they've actually been, outside of Rosa was really good.
But I don't...
into the actual Rosa Parks actress, she was really good. And the actors in this were good, but other than that...
But at the same time, I still think he's struggling with the kind of base under siege kind of form of, like, if we take I think I've been on about how I like this episode in a few other installments of this, but if you take like the God Complex, everyone in that room, you kind of know who they are and they're really developed, even though they don't get very long. You get like the Pyroville and like Howie and stuff. They weren't that developed. They were quite interesting, but they weren't developed.
I liked that the cleaner was the reason why it had all been happening, and he was like an activist. That was kind of neat. I liked that it wasn't just the robots in the system are bad, and it kind of had a mixed message because he got exactly what he wanted at the end when they were like, oh yeah, we're going to push organics as the so I don't know what it really wanted.
No, me neither. And also, like, that's what I just keep getting back to. Like, he was successful in his mission in a way.
Yeah.
So,
also, they straight up murder him.
I don't know, because last week we were a bit bummed out about it.
Yeah.
And I think this was a good episode. And I think it was in, as I say, it's top 3 of this season, I think.
But equally, I think I was more bummed out last season because I had high hopes for Demons of the Punjab. I had lower expectations for this, and even though it was okay, I still feel like we're getting to the point in the season now where it's not. We can't say categorically it's a great season.
No.
Even if the next 3 episodes are really good, they'd have to be all classics, and even then we'd come away from it saying it was a really mixed. It was 3 season.
Classics.
Yeah,
and I mean, season 3 has this kind of upended, kind of weaker up half and second half, but we're past the point where it's going to gear in. That season had like 50% of its runtime being like classics and episodes that are still considered like the best.
Midnight,
ever.
The Human Nature 2-parter, Family of Blood.
Full.
Oh, sorry, Blink.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're coming for me. They're coming.
But yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, it's. I would say this is a good series. It's not a great one.
Yes.
It's just an okay series. But given that I think a lot of the new Who series are really strong,
I feel like this is contender for worst season. I still think
7 is.
I still think 7's worse, but even in 7, I really like the Snowmen. That's about it.
Yeah, you're struggling, aren't you? I'm sorry, this has not had a Rings of Akhaten or a Cold War or a Hyde.
But even stuff like Rings of Akhaten, like, I appreciate that it's trying to be bombastic. Like, we've just gone to a warehouse in this episode. Last week we went to a farm.
Last week we went to a farm.
Well, I mean, obviously there was a bit more to it than that.
The doctor goes to a farm was not the setup.
There's a bit more to it than that. So granted.
Obviously, we read that advanced review from Doctor Who TV where they said
they hyped it.
They said that this episode was gonna. Is it called Peter McTie? Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section.
Yeah, I think you're butchering that.
Peter McTee, something like that.
I mean, as we all know, I butcher names left, right, and centre, so there's no point me saying it.
But he was this week's. They were saying he was going to be Jamie Matheson of this season, where we'd all step back and go, "Whoa." Yeah, that didn't happen.
No, it didn't.
That is not Mummy on the Orient Express.
That was what made me sad, is if that's the Jamie Matheson, if that's the Peter Harness of this season, then I'm not that hyped.
This is like the, you know what, I can't even remember any kind of like forgettable Doctor Who, probably because they're forgettable. But I can't, this is just okay, isn't it?
This is the Matt Jones of this season.
Which one did he write?
He wrote Impossible Planet, which is good.
Oh really, that's an incredible episode.
But he never came back. Where are you, Matt Jones? I want you to come back. Save us.
This is the Matthew Graham of this season. Doing Almost People.
I like the Almost People.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think it's got a really good moment where the clone dad isn't sure if to save those people, and he's like, "Oh, well, you're not his real dad, are you?" And then that manipulation gives him the impetus to go and do a good deed.
Yeah, I guess.
That's a really great moment. That's better than anything we've had in this episode.
So obviously as well, one of the big things that we've learned is we finally know all the synopses for the rest of the season.
And they all sound tepid at best.
That's not true. I quite like that one that's got one of the worst titles ever, so bad that I can't remember.
Oh, was it the Battle of something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, it literally sounds like they wrote, the Battle of Helm's Deep.
I mean, it's not as bad as KaBlam or Arachnids in the UK.
I don't know, this one's pretty bad. Can you imagine seeing that, even if it's a really good episode, you see Blink, Human Nature, the Battle of Roscaskos, whatever it's called.
It's a bit fanficky, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing looks exciting.
No. I was excited by the Witches one in concept, but now that we've seen footage from it, I'm less so.
Yeah.
And then wasn't it like they're coming to see someone in a house in episode 9?
Yeah.
And they're in a distress. So there's not enough to go on for that one.
This is the main problem I have. The finale's come out, sorry, do genuinely, if you don't want any remote spoilers or hints of what's happening, we are going to just kind of talk about the finale.
I guess we've already kind of gone into it. Maybe we should put up a little spoiler warning a few minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh well, you're this far in. You're so far deep. Anyway, I mean, they're saying that it's going to be this villain called the Ux, and it's set in the far future. What? Like, surely, like, I know maybe it's good that they're doing something different, but surely bring us back to the present, work on things that you've established on, have the Stenza in. Are the Stenza just a throwaway line in Ghost Monument?
Yeah, the way they dropped it in Ghost Monument and the way we spoke about it that week on Lucky's Talking, it seemed like it was going to be the Ark villain. And also, we didn't touch upon this actually. They mentioned there was a reference to her being the Timeless Child or something. Is that going to come into play?
Probably not. It sounds like a generic Doctor Who thing. I don't think it means anything. Like,
it's weird. Maybe we're just conditioned by Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat to think, oh, that must be the Ark, and maybe it's not. Maybe Chibnips was telling the truth when he said there'd be no Ark this season. But...
Well, rule number 1. Chibnall's always mediocre. On that note, actually, there are rumours going around that Chibnall will only do a second season, which, I mean, I'm not hyped by that, mainly because I think it's a bit... It sounds like, if that's true, it sounds like he never really wanted to do the job.
No.
Which is a bit like...
Well, there were rumours that he didn't want to do it anyway.
Yeah, but if he's actually kind of candidly just been like, yeah, no, I'm a bit like, all right, mate, like, you went on TV once and attacked Jonathan Nathan Turner's entire
Which is
run.
now really ironic, because in that interview he's saying, yeah, it's not bad, it's just mediocre.
Yeah,
you know?
We should link to that in the description, actually, for people can watch it. Yeah, he's literally saying things like, the plotting's really boring and the aliens are really uninspired, and it's like, oh wow, Chibnall, you know.
Talking about your season, it was a prophetic interview.
I think Colin Baker's work has had some, big highs that this season has not hit yet. I'm not even joking, like, at least, how awesome would it be if she said, change, my dear? And that's good.
I just think we haven't seen enough from her. And the fact that the rumour also says if Chibnips goes, Whittaker's going with him, that would be a real shame. I'm not really going to be that sad if Chibnall goes. I would like Whittaker to stay so that we could get a real chance to see what kind of Doctor she is. I mean, to be honest, I'm ready for him to leave now. I feel like if this is his Series 5 or his Series 1... and this is the best he's given us. Surely he's laying down his best cards with his first season.
It took him like 2 years, didn't it? To announce, from him being announced, he must have gone, right, obviously he was finishing Broadchurch Series 3, but I just don't understand because I love Broadchurch and this is just confusing me.
I mean, to be fair, maybe Broadchurch was taking up a lot of his time. Maybe next year you're going to see a bit more of a change. I mean, I'm trying to be positive here. The thing that makes me so sad about Chibnall being showrunner is that when he was announced, we were really sceptical. We know he's done some bad episodes. And over time to this premiere of this series, we sort of kind of indoctrinated ourselves into, well, he's done Broadchurch. He knows how to do things. He was
saying really good things.
He was saying really good things, yeah.
I'm not going to go back on that. I think it was fair for us to be excited for Chris Chibnall as the season went on, especially when he was saying really on-point things about like Netflix and like how shows evolve and stuff.
How it needs to constantly be pushing forward and giving us fresh things. Yeah, that is true. And also, I was excited when he said there are going to be no returning monsters.
So I was like, he must have come up with some really cool concepts.
Yeah. But I've now kind of 180'd on that now that we get things like the Ucks. Well, we haven't seen what they look like yet, but they sound lame.
We know they're going to be lame, don't we?
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. They might be good. I quite like the Stenza.
The big teaser words that he used this season were things like, you'll get to see Kandoka's moon, Epso, Umbrine. Have any of those been hype?
No.
So what's the Ucks?
It's just sad. It's making me sad. Every week I'm losing a bit more luster for this. For this season.
But this, it could still redeem itself. What if it's a 3-part finale?
Right.
But it's not.
Come on, hype me.
No, it's not. It's not, though. I say what if, we know it's not.
So something really dramatic would need to happen. And also, we've had so few scares. Like, the first episode felt a bit creepy. The spiders should have been creepy, they weren't. The 2 historicals had no threat.
The Pating was pretty horrifying, to be fair.
Oh, God, yeah, the Pating. I forgot about that. Was there a threat in the Ghost Monument, really? No.
Paper?
There's been nothing scary. I wanted something genuinely creepy. I felt like the pilot... Sorry, not the pilot, because we've got comments about that.
Yeah.
The Woman Who Fell to Earth, it gave off that creepy vibe. It made me think that we were going to get monsters that were going to...
I think that's confirmed going to be best of the season now.
What, The Woman Who Fell to Earth? I think that's a real shame.
I think that's confirmed, like, completely. And on that note, hopefully next week's episode will be better.
We'll stop being negative.
Yeah, I still hold out hope for the Witchfinders. I think it could be cool. For me, it hinges on are they going to use the fact that she's a woman and she uses a magic device and solve stuff and midnight it and make it be that, of course, there would be hysteria to a doctor turning up? Or is she going to turn up and everyone's just cool? That to me is because the latter is terrible.
I hope they do utilise the fact she's a woman. Because I think, I like so far that they've not been every episode like, oh, I used to be a man. Like, that's cool that she just is the doctor, we're just going to run with it. If there's something where, in context, it works historically...
That's what I want. Because it would make sense to me that they would immediately be like, well, she's a witch.
Yeah.
You just would be in that type of hysteria, an intelligent woman walking around with a screwdriver, with out-of-time clothes. So that's what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, me too. But it still doesn't mean it's going to save the season. Unless it's a classic.
Imagine if it's the greatest episode ever.
It's not going to happen, is it?
We don't know.
You know what? I hate being negative. I don't want to be this negative about something we haven't seen yet. It could be good.
Yeah, I don't want to be one of those YouTubers who's like, I knew it would fail. I'm like, well, congratulations.
Yeah, you've not.
You could win by it failing or win by it being good. Yeah. Like, it takes a real gamble to believe.
There's no need to revel in misery.
So to conclude this episode, Chris Chibnall, I believe in you.
I've always kind of been a bit iffy on you, but who knows? You can still pull through.
One more thing, actually, before this ends. Do you think the big mistake was that? Do you remember, like, a year ago when they were like, no new writers confirmed, and like no one knew it was true, and the sole source was Mark Gatiss being like, well, I haven't been asked. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? When it was like spinning it, and he was like, a writer said Mark Gatiss. Well, I've certainly had no calls. What if Gatiss had returned?
It could be worse. We could have had Mark Gatiss as showrunner.
If he'd have spent all his time on it and done something as good as League of Gentlemen, I would be down for that.
Yeah, but you need Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith to make Mark Gatiss any good. Mark Gatiss is not good by himself. What has he done by himself that's good? In fact, you know what? If you've seen something he's done by himself that's really good, please
I mean, I really like Crimson Horror, so on that note, I think the door's going to close.
It's a piece of shit. Don't forget to click below and subscribe to the official Full Fat Videos YouTube channel.